Yeah, still getting set up as usual, everybody. All right. Gonna give everybody here a minute or two more to jump on. That's how we do. Like to try and make sure everybody has an opportunity to get lined up and tuned in. Yo, what's going up, Jermaine? Hey man, I can't fix that music on that video without having to take it down and put it all the way back up, and let's re-edit the whole thing. So, sorry, man. You guys are just gonna have to deal with it, I guess. I didn't know it did that, but I'll make sure it doesn't happen on the next one. Woo! How's everybody Saturday? Oh, lots to talk about today. Lots to talk about today. Ooh, let me get my fan set up. What's going on, Benjamin? It's 10 August 2019 and Georgia still stomped in Juba. Patrick, boy, he's always got something to say, don't he? You wish live music played over your girlfriend's voice every morning. Was it really that loud? Was the music really that loud? If it's that loud, I'll take the video down and repost it. Somebody give me some feedback. Because when I watch it on my stuff, I'm watching it through the editing software I have, and sometimes it kind of gets one way or the other, so it's hard to tell. Man, August in Georgia. Hey, Sarah, you made it this time. Okay. Getting ready to smoke some Boston butt chicken and sausage. That's what I'm talking about. Man, I'm getting ready. It was very loud. Man, I don't know why that was. I checked the sound before I uploaded it. I wonder if it regressed back. So while we're waiting for a few more people to get on here, I'm gonna give you guys a little bit of music. Took over the video. Dang, I'm gonna end up taking that down. I'll take it down later today and fix it. So I know a lot of you people probably don't get real involved or real heavy in the software editing side of things, but whenever you upload the videos, when you're making this stuff, it's actually more complex than you would think. It takes me, like, I sit around when I'm not working. I sit around and I look up stats on teams. I look up stats on the recruiting. You know, I look all that stuff up, and then I'll make my notes. I'll go over them 2 or 3 times, and then I'll do my video. And sometimes when I make the video, it'll be, I don't know. Sometimes it'll be too long, or I'll say something and I didn't like how it came out, or I'll say something and I just didn't like it, or I'll say something 2 or 3 times that I didn't want to say 2 or 3 times. So I'll go back and I'll redo the whole video sometimes, depending on how it went. Sometimes it works out pretty good. Sometimes I'll do all my editing. I'll watch through the video and go, I don't like that at all, and I'll do the whole video all over again. And one of the things that you do is you'll set up your background. The Nashville, Georgia flag is in the window, and he's feeling some type of way. Jermaine, we got to get together in a game sometime, man. I bet you're a riot, sir. So what you do is you have basically like this long timeline, and you start stacking items. Like you put a background, and then under that line you'll layer your video, and then you'll have segments to where you add your intro and music, and you adjust your sound and adjust the color and all this other stuff. What's going on, VT Dub? It works. He just stopped by to say go Dogs in Florida still say. Thanks, VT Dub. I appreciate it, buddy. Totally clueless on video editing. I know there's a balance that can be hard to meet. So what ends up happening is, depending on how the volume is working with your camera, I don't have a lapel mic, and the reason I don't have a lapel mic is because most of the time when I'm recording, I'm doing it on my phone, and my phone has what's called a USB 3 mic. Good morning, Dwayne. appreciate you in the comment section, sir. I always enjoy seeing you down there. The USB 3 on the bottom of this phone right here. This is a newer phone, so for whatever reason, the Google Pixel 2 does not work very well. What's up, Jarvis? With microphones for some reason, and I've tried multiple microphones. I've tried headset microphones. I've tried downloading different camera recording apps. I've got one now that seems to work okay. But when you start combining all that stuff in the video editing software, and then you try to adjust the sound, even though when I play it back, it sounds perfect. Sometimes when you upload them, I guess it just gets crazy. So I'll have to go back there and review all that and re-upload it. Speaking of Florida, apparently Dan Mullen is a domestic abuse whisperer instead of a quarterback whisperer. Where did that come from, Alex? Did I miss something in the news? I figured that out. Man, that ain't nothing new. We knew that. So, one of the things I want to kind of get into, we're about 10 minutes in. Do me a favor, guys, hit like, subscribe, thumbs up. Go ahead and share the video on Facebook, social media, Twitter, Instagram, wherever you guys typically gravitate to in the social media world. If you would share the video around there, I can jump on Facebook and share it to 30 groups, but it takes me 15 minutes. And I'd rather spend the time talking with you guys. Now we're trying to get to 1,600 by the beginning of the season. We're on a good pace. I'm at 1,575. Bad news for Alabama. Trey Sanders will miss the entire season with a foot injury. I did not know that. What's going on, Nicholas? I'm 25 away from hitting that 1,600 mark. If you guys could help me out there, man, I'd really appreciate it. And you guys can do that by hitting the thumbs up button and by sharing this around social media. Whenever you're doing a live show and you're on this side of the camera, you can see how many people are in the stream, which right now says there's about 12, and it seems like that's always kind of off by a little bit. And I can see the thumbs up right next to it, so I can see that there's 5. So there's 7 of you guys in here that ain't had to hit the thumbs up button yet, but whatever. He's from Cullen. Dwayne, you live in Atlanta or around Atlanta? Yay, nay, maybe. I live south of Atlanta, so we may have to get together for barbecue or something. Gwinnett County. I live in Henry County. So, anyway, tons of stuff to get into. I don't even know where to begin. I didn't know that about Trey Sanders, man. That's really interesting. If that's true, that's interesting. Trey Sanders was definitely a playmaker for him, but Alabama's loaded with talent, so Benjamin says he's in DeKalb County. Sir, you better drop the speed limit over there. Whew. They don't play in DeKalb County. When did this news break about Trey Sanders? Coach Saban didn't say much the other day. Norcross. I like it up there, Norcross. It's nice up there. Good morning, James. What's going on, buddy? All right, so we got 3 Saturdays left, a grand total of 21 days until Georgia plays again. Now, there is going to be football before that. Benjamin says he goes to school in Norcross. The news came out this morning. I don't know if your name is Nick, BR01, but I'm just going to call you Nick. I try to recognize everybody in the chat stream when I can. So, right now I'm going to look up. I'm going to look up that thing about Trey Sanders, because if that just broke, apologize. You guys are getting a great view of my hat right now. One day ago, it said he was doing really, really well in camp. Nick Saban 2 days ago was talking about his work ethic. Here it is, 35 minutes ago. Alabama running back Trey Sanders to miss the season with injury. Former 5-star suffered a significant foot injury on the final play of the Crimson Tide's preseason practice Thursday night and is expected to miss the entire season. That's a broken ankle. That's what that is. That's the only thing that'll take you out that long. Broken ankle. Man, I hate to see that. What's going on, Loy? Same situation happened with Trey as it did with Zamir White. That's crazy. Sad, yeah. Yeah. For those of you that's been around the channel for a while, you know that I don't ever want to see a player get injured. I never want to see anybody get hurt. These kids pick, a lot of times these kids pick these colleges not because they love the university, but they see that school as the way to give them the best route to move forward. Screen shaking over here because of my fan. Let me adjust that. I don't want that happening. It's bad video quality. And sometimes, you know, it was a razor thin between them coming to University of Georgia and razor thin between them going somewhere else. I never want to see any of these kids get hurt. I certainly don't want it to damage their career. A lot of people are involved in helping these kids. A lot of people have invested a lot of time and energy and emotion into getting them where they're at. And so when you see these guys get hurt, it's rough on more than just that player. It's rough on a team, it's rough on a family, it's rough on a fan base, rough on the coaches, it's rough on all the people friends of that guy that's helped him get there. It's just, you know, just not good. So we wish him a speedy recovery and the best of luck. All right. That having been said, let's address the elefante in the room, and that would be Brenton Cox. Pray for player safety regardless of the team. Absolutely. Was hoping Trey would be our tough yardage power back. I pray for Trey. You guys will be fine even without him. That's not going to be a season ender for you. So Brenton Cox has went to the University of Florida. No secret, I'm not a Florida Gators fan. Brenton Cox, apparently, from what I can find, he's kind of had some attitude problems in the Georgia locker room. Seems to be what I call one of those CGRs. And a CGR is a can't get right. No matter what he does, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how much you coach him up, he just can't get right. And so that seems to have progressed and continued to progress to the point where UGA is like, you know what? Yeah, you're a 5-star, but bruh, you got to go. Now think about that. That is a conversation that had to be had at the executive level of the coaching staff for them to sit down and say, you know what? We can't find a way to keep this guy. He's got to go. And there was obviously a conversation that is had between what is his talent level versus what is his attitude versus what is his ability set, his talent set. I mean, you know, how far up can we coach him? And for them to come to the conclusion that, no, we're just going to let him go, that's a good thing. I heard he was mad that he wasn't getting much playing time and he was buried in a depth chart. That's absolutely true. He was upset that he wasn't. It's one of those things where you keep telling these young guys, playtime is earned, not given. And whenever they feel like they have earned it and it's not given, then they feel, as somebody would say, some kind of way. And if you feel some kind of way, you start doubting your coach's preferences. You start saying they're not paying attention to me. It becomes an attitude problem. That attitude becomes cancerous to the locker room. And all of a sudden, that player is no longer really needed on that team for a number of reasons. So, guess where he went? Dun, 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 dun. Florida. He went to see the Florida Gators coach Dan Mullen, and they said, "Yeah, sure, come on down. We can use any player we can get." I think this is the first player that's come out of the transfer portal and went to Florida. I cannot understand for the life of me why Brenton Cox would have went there. There was a number of other places he could have went, but he wants to go play for Florida. Well, so be it. Am I mad about it? No, I'm not mad about it. He can go down there and play with the Gators. I don't care. Somebody said, I've seen all kind of stuff on Facebook about how he he's going to give away all the secrets to Georgia's defense and all this other stuff. And then somebody else immediately said, hold on. What's that? Yes, please. That's fine. Wife's making breakfast. Hello, Miss Kylie. So anyway, somebody said apparently he didn't know those secrets during the national championship game, so he's good to go. My daughter's wearing a Beat Auburn shirt. It's a troll shirt because it's orange. It makes you think that it's an Auburn shirt, but it's not. I heard he was up, so I'm excited about the season. Will Cox have playing time this season? Yeah, he'll play. He's been busted for pot, so he went to where he Salty Dog said he got caught smoking weed, so he went to somewhere he'd be loved for it. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's talk about recruiting a little bit. So right now, I think Georgia's 4th or 5th in the recruiting schedule, rankings, whatever you want to call it. But one of the things that I wanted to look at, let me get rid of that one, is the comparison between Georgia and Alabama football prospects. So these are the guys that are still sitting out here. I think he was granted immediate eligibility. I'm not sure, though. I don't know. I'll have to look into that. But it's just another case of Dan Mullen digging through Georgia's trash. After he talked all that smack about Georgia, he's now getting our play. Hey, I guess that goes to show. If you want to beat the best, yeah, you got to rummage through the garbage. Oh my goodness. All right, so let's look at the players that are still sitting out there for University of Georgia, the 5-star recruits that Georgia is still after, and then I'm going to compare them to Alabama real quick. So you've got Jordan Burch, you've got Zachary Evans, Keely Ringo, Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert, and then Noah Sewell. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guys. And then if we look at the Alabama side, you're going to see a lot of the same names. Jordan Burch, Zachary Evans, Darnell Washington, Eric Gilbert, and Noah Sewell. I think only one of these is really kind of leaning towards Alabama. I think it's Jordan Burch. Georgia, it says Jordan Burch is leaning towards Alabama and Clemson. Georgia is in the mix. Zachary Evans, from all the stuff I can find, he's leaning towards Georgia. Darnell Washington, I think that he's going to be an Alabama guy. Eric Gilbert is all dog. Noah Sewell is pretty much guaranteed to go to Oregon. And then Philip Webb, who's a 4-star, he's looking to go to Clemson. Where's the one here? Kylie Ringo, he's all dog too. So there's 2 guys there that I'm pretty sure are going to end up coming to the University of Georgia. That's going to put Georgia at least 4 or 5 stars. If Alabama picks up the ones that they believe they're going to pick up, that'll put them at 4. This is going to bump Georgia way up in the recruiting rankings, and you're also going to, and I don't know if that's going to be enough to topple Clemson, but we'll see. It's going to be another year where Georgia has a really, really good recruiting class, another year where Alabama's going to have a really good recruiting class, and another year where Clemson's going to have a really good recruiting class. And the gap between Georgia, where they're projecting Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama to be at the end of the season or at the end of the recruiting cycle, is going to be a huge gap from 1, 2, and 3 down to 4. So you're going to see that trend continue. I hope Thomas Andrew absolutely bears Brenton Cox if he's able this year. What's going on, C-Dog West? Probably one of the oldest Big Dog. I'm probably one of the oldest fans on Big Dog's feed. I've had some people in here that were a little older. I like all ages and that stuff. I'm hoping UGA can get Ringo, Evans, Gilbert, or Washington, and maybe Burch. I just don't see Burch coming to Georgia. He might, but if he does, I'll be very surprised. That having been said, They are predicting, and I say they, it's sports writers from ESPN or 24/7 Sports or the Bleacher Report or whomever. They're saying that this year not only could be the highest overall recruiting class that Georgia has ever had, but it could be the highest overall recruited class of all time in college football. That's incredible. I couldn't really believe that the first time I saw it, so I started digging into it, and it's certainly possible. Probability ranking, actually, it's more probable than not probable. So we'll see what happens. We'll play it out as we go along. But it's pretty interesting to see that Georgia is continuing to trend and progress in that direction. At the end of this recruiting cycle, there will be, I want to say, I don't think there's a team in the SEC East that has picked up one 5-star recruit. So that means that we'll go from 24 to, let's say Georgia picks up 5. That'll be 29. That will mean Georgia will have 27 out of 29 5-stars in the SEC East. Yeah, Georgia's having a lot of 5-stars come to that game. I think Georgia's going to do a really good job. Didn't Notre Dame just have a player that got injured or something? What did I read? Maybe I'm just wishful dreaming here, wishful hoping. Not that a player got injured, but that that Georgia will have an easier time with them than we normally would have. Let me see what it says. Thought I read something. Apparently, they've just been having a lot of injuries in training camp. Brian Kelly, let's see. I don't know. Am I going to stop doing these videos during the season? No, and the reason behind that is because I can move this video up to about 10 o'clock, and that will still allow me to watch all of the football games that I want to watch. 18 and about to start adulthood. I can tell you that start is probably the right word. Achieve is a different story. I didn't feel like I was really an adult until I got to be about 30, sir. 48, but my brain thinks I'm 28, especially when I'm trying to show my son how strong I am. Hey, buddy, long time no see. What's going on, Brian? If you are any other team in the country, and you look back at Georgia's recruiting, and we have averaged the number 2 spot for the last 3 years, that should scare the hell out of you if you got to play us. Alabama, Clemson, and Georgia are going to be the powerhouses. I think the Oklahoma is kind of right there, and then after that, I think it falls off tremendously. I think it's pretty difficult to tell who the number 5 through 10 spot is. You can make arguments for LSU. Probably in a couple of years, you could say Texas A&M. It's just incredible the amount of talent on these 3 teams. Of course, Georgia's not juiced up, so there's that. Yeah, I'm taking a shot at you, Clemson. All right, so I wanted to jump into the schedule. I don't want that screen. Where's it at? Give me 1 second here. I just had it pulled up. Maybe Notre Dame should adopt the camel from the sky. You guys are brutal. Okay, so there's some games coming up in a couple of weeks. God, it's so nice to say that. There's some games coming up in a couple of weeks that I'm really looking forward to. The very first game that I want to see is at 7 p.m. on Saturday, August 24th. 14 days away. What's going on, Jay? Miami versus Florida. I want to see what happens in this game. I think that this game, if Florida loses this game, it is going to set the tone for them for the whole year. Please, Miami win. Certainly a possibility, sir. I think Manny Diaz has some talent on that team. Martin Rick does an okay job recruiting, or did an okay job recruiting down there. It's certainly possible that he can make that team good enough to beat Florida. Florida's lost a lot of players, which is always going to affect the locker room and affect the cohesion of the unit. So it's certainly possible that Manny Diaz could come in there with a team that is well fluid, put together, and can beat them. James says, been digging the new backdrops. Thanks, sir. Been trying to find a better backdrop than what I've been having, and like with the vehicle and all, which is it's kind of nice to a point because I can sit in there, I can run the air conditioner, I can control the sound in that environment. But I wanted a little better backdrop for you guys, so I found a way to do it. You have to take the SAT on the 24th to get through the season. What? Doing good, Jay. Doing good, man. It's a great day. A lot of fans say Kirby won Bama's championships, but not Saban. That's interesting, considering that he won quite a few with Kirby. I think he won a few without. All right, so let's get back to the schedule here. Do me a favor, if you've made it this far, hit the thumbs up for me. I really appreciate it. Like, share, subscribe, social media, all that wonderful stuff. So that game is on Saturday, August 24th, and then 5 days later, you have a whole bunch of FCS, BCS, whatever you want to call them, just garbage teams for the most part, with the exception of the Clemson Georgia Tech game, Texas A&M versus Texas State, and then Uncle Lou's favorite BYU. So, you looks like UConn's playing and the UCLA's playing, but I don't really see anybody else. Yeah, that's pretty much all I see. So I think that, I think Miami could win that game. Florida could win that game. Looking at Clemson, Clemson's going to destroy Georgia Tech. It's not even going to be close. Of course, that's on the ACC network, which is not on Dish. Right, Lou? He called it. You guys should go watch that video. It's pretty funny. You can tell that the guy he was on the phone with had no clue anything about college football. None. And Uncle Lou is just wearing him out. Texas A&M will beat the brakes off of Texas State. Not going to watch the BYU-Utah game. Comes on at 10:15 at night. It's ridiculous. UCLA comes on at 7 p.m. Might watch that, pieces of that. Then on Friday, the very next day, you've got I got a friend of mine who is a Michigan State fan, the Sparties. I pull for those guys just because of him. I actually think they're a decent team. Then you've got Oregon State versus Oklahoma State. I actually think that'll be a pretty good game. I'm going to watch that one as well. Smart was the brains behind Bama's recruiting. That's probably true. Oh, Holloman is going to Florida International. Yeah, I saw that, and again, don't really care. I have a troll on the other sites that likes to say crap about Saban. Only enough to shut him up when I ask him to explain 2017. No offense. So, I've got some trolls that jump in the comment section. The offseason has went by very quick for you. I want to know how you did that, sir, because it's been painful for me. It's been rough. Trey Sanders out for the season. Bama. Yeah, I saw it earlier, Brian. I think it's a broken ankle with that guy. Saturday, August 31st. This is the real first day of real college football, in my opinion. First full day of college football. Games start at 12, and they go all the way until 10:30 that night. And the latest game being played by USC. Not USC Junior, USC. So, looking at that, there's like 60 games that's being played that day. Think about that. 60 games. It's incredible. One of the first games I'm going to be watching earlier today is the Ohio State game. I'm going to keep an eye on the Nebraska game. Going to be watching the not Mississippi State. I'm going to be watching the Ole Miss and Memphis, kind of see how they do. Flipping around at 2 o'clock to West Virginia. Not watching Navy, Penn State. Not watching those. South Carolina versus UNC. This is their opener. That game should be pretty decent. I want to see how that goes. I think that UNC could win that game. We'll see what happens. Tennessee's got a laydown, or should have a laydown. We'll see how the Chaney offense works at Tennessee. Alabama's playing Duke at the same time. They ought to absolutely mollywop Duke. Arkansas's playing to PRST. I don't know if that's Princeton or Princeton State or what. What the heck that is. But yeah. And let's see what else. And then you go down to 7 o'clock. Then you got Florida State versus BSU, Boise State. I actually think Boise State could win that game. I really do. Then at 7:30, here come the Dogs. They're going to open the SEC opener with Vanderbilt Commodores. We ought to be able to slam on those guys pretty good. Then the first game of the season for Auburn's played. Same time. Georgia's on the SEC network. This game's going to be with Auburn versus Oregon. Foot injury for Sanders. Troll came to yesterday when Bama plays Notre Dame. Bama plays Duke week 1. It's a sad comparison for their out-of-conference scheduling. That's right. Time to let the big dog eat. Auburn, I'm really interested in that Auburn-Oregon game. I'll be flipping back and forth. And I can assure you if Auburn loses that game, I'll probably be making a fan reaction video to that. But it just depends on how it goes. Georgia should get out of hand with Vandy pretty early on. Mizzou playing Wyoming. We'll see what happens there. Kelly Bryant recently injured. Hamstring. Don't know what they're going to do. We'll see what happens. Iowa versus MOH. I have no idea what team that is. I think it's a middle school from Ohio. Not sure. Then you got Texas versus Louisiana Tech. TCU's playing. Pitt's playing. Those are all at 8 o'clock. No, Pitt's at 7:30. And then you've got, and then all the late games suck. And then you got a Sunday game, believe it or not. I thought this was interesting. You have a Sunday game of Oklahoma versus Houston. I think that'll be a good game. And then on Monday at 8 p.m. at night, Notre Dame versus Louisville. So that first weekend, really, I mean, it's going to be almost college football overload. Good with it. I feel like I feel like a guy who's been living in the desert for 6 months and finally finds the oasis and just goes for a swim. There's going to be so much going on. I'm really interested to see how that whole thing plans out. So, yeah. Miami of Ohio. Yeah. Miami of Ohio. You know what that says to me? We weren't good enough to get on with Ohio or Miami. So we're going to go to Miami of Ohio. You know, these guys play where they can, man. It just is what it is. So how's everybody Saturday? How's everybody doing? And it's getting warm out. August in Georgia. The heat should be going soon. Notice some of the trees are starting to turn. Looking forward to the 7th when the Tigers play Texas. Me too, buddy. Me too. Another day, another dollar. What do you think of Georgia playing Alabama? Georgia playing Bama week 4 of 2020. That'll be a tough one. I think that'll be a tough one for both teams. And the reason I point that out is that's going to be our normal schedule. Is a wasp. Normal scheduled cross-season rivalry, cross-conference rivalry, whatever you want to call them. It's in Tuscaloosa. Was Cox any good at Georgia before he left? Not really. Had some attitude problems. Guy couldn't get his act together. I don't know any Georgia fans that's really upset that guy's gone. There might be some, but I don't know who. Georgia plays Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Maybe we do. I remember the last time y'all come to freaking Sanford Stadium, you stomped a mud hole in us and walked it dry. It was like 51 to like 10. Mark Rick, silly self. Golly, I don't miss that guy. Laughing, I noticed Auburn got to play out. Oh yeah. So for those of you who don't know, and maybe some of you do, maybe some of you don't, they trying to get my football to stay put. Auburn was complaining about their schedule, and that they didn't want to play Georgia and Alabama like back to back. So they wanted to fix that or whatever it was. The home and away, the way home, home and away and away, or whatever it was. They didn't want to do that anymore. So the schedule that the SEC handed them was brutal, brutal. But you got what you wanted. But it's like one of those things where be careful what you wish for. Just be real careful what you wish for. Well, here's the thing. I mean, if they'd have been winning these games, they wouldn't have been complaining about the schedule. So, I mean, they weren't complaining about it when they beat Georgia and Alabama back to back and made themselves look awesome. And I mean, if let's say that you beat Georgia early in the season, or you beat Alabama early in the season, and then you beat Georgia later in the season, that's never going to look as good as playing Georgia and Alabama back to back and beating both back to back. I mean, that's nothing's going to make your team look better than that, especially when both teams were ranked number one. So now I can understand it from the you play Georgia, you're going to get beat up. Then you play Alabama and you're beat up. You know, it's likely you're going to lose that game. Well, obviously that's not necessarily the case because you already won. You already beat us both in the same season. And then you played, I don't know, whoever it was after that, and then you played in the SEC Championship, and Georgia worked you. So, talking about schedule, Sable said he doesn't set the schedule. It's hard to find teams willing to play us. I don't know about that. I don't know. One of the things Nick Saban said when it comes to Georgia is that his actual words were, "I sure as hell don't want to play him again." Now that's quite the compliment. So, there's teams out there that want to play Georgia, but one of the problems that you want to play Alabama and Georgia and Clemson is that there are numerous there's numerous teams out there that want to play you, but the schedule is set so far out. I mean, they're talking about scheduling games. You're out now. I'm out now. What are you talking about, Sarah? LSU always wants to play them. We want to end this. Yeah. Oh, see you later, Sarah. I guess she meant she's leaving. The thing about scheduling these teams is they schedule them so far out. It's really difficult to set those schedules because they have to sit down and come up with agreements to when to play, how to play, home and away at home. They have to work all that stuff into each other's schedule. It's quite intense. One of the things that Kirby Smart was talking about when they were talking about the scheduling was that he flat out said, he was like, all the games we play now were scheduled long before I got to the University of Georgia. I mean, they're scheduling some games in 2030. What does that tell you? It's ridiculous. So, both teams have to come to an agreement. One of the things that I will say is that Georgia and teams like Georgia, Clemson, Alabama, the big SEC schools, the big Pac-10, Pac-12, all of those schools, they play these smaller colleges, right? And a lot of these other schools say, "Oh, you guys play a bunch of cupcakes." We can always say that our schedule, we play more SEC schools than you guys do, and the SEC schools typically have a better bowl record. You can't sneak up on anybody anymore. We will always get everybody's best. Yep. Um, we have more players that go to the NFL every year. Uh, we have more players that are recruited into playing in SEC schools that are higher star ranked. So if you want to sit down, and you look at the players that are the recruiting classes that have the highest recruiting classes are always SEC schools. SEC schools have more championships than anybody else. So it's very difficult to say that any conference is as strong as the SEC when the numbers just dictate otherwise. So when you say, you got to schedule tougher opponents, we play SEC schools every year, dude. Yeah, and every SEC school plays 3 non-con games. It's nothing new. Um, Looking at our schedule, think about this. Okay, let's just be fair. Everybody knows who has the most national championships, no doubt, right? Alabama's got the most national championships, especially in recent history. Just been on a rocket sled on rails, just riding roughshod over everybody. Now they've run into a little bit of competition between Georgia and Clemson, and that's it. That's the only 2 teams that are giving Alabama any kind of run for their money. Now, taking into consideration that if you're a team and you want to play somebody tough, all you got to do is be in the SEC West because you're going to play Alabama. You want to prove that you're the best? Just play. You're going to play Alabama. Just beat them. That's all you got to do. You're in the SEC East. Hey, win the SEC East. Probably going to play Alabama. And if you don't play Alabama, you played somebody that beat them. Any other conference that you're in, all you have to do is win your division championship. And guess what? You're probably going to play an SEC school. You're Clemson. Guess what? You're going to play an SEC school. You're Oklahoma. You're going to play an SEC school. So you Notre Dame. You played Clemson. You got destroyed by a team that had to beat an SEC school to win a national championship. The fact of the matter is that the SEC is a stronger conference. It just is. The numbers show you that that's an extremely strong conference. So people who's talking about Georgia schools, Alabama schedules all these cupcakes. We schedule non-conference games just like everybody else. If I can go through. You can show me a team, show me any team. I'll go through your schedule and I will show you some cupcakes. So South Carolina. Let me pull up South Carolina, right? South Carolina is supposed to have the roughest schedule, and I don't know their schedule by heart. South Carolina. And I'm going to do their 2019. There's a schedule right here. Okay. Let me pull it up. I wish I could send out an email to these schools that when they schedule, when they list this. So, if you are playing in the SEC, or if you're playing anywhere, I'm gonna read this schedule to you. This is considered to be the hardest schedule in college football. So they've got to play Clemson, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Florida, Georgia, Alabama, right? Those are hard teams, right? They got to play Charleston Southern. They should demolish them. They got to play Tennessee. Tennessee's not a cupcake, but Appalachian State is. And you could probably make the argument. That North Carolina could be. Here comes the Tigers, man. You Tigers fight amongst yourselves, man. Yeah, I mean, Clemson's got an easier schedule than Georgia or Alabama. Notre Dame doesn't have as tough a schedule as Georgia or Alabama. They just don't. The national media has made it look like it's only Alabama and Clemson, and there's a huge gap. However, they completely failed to mention that Georgia was only by 3 points the first game and 7 the second. Everybody knows how close those games are. Everybody does. I mean, Nick Saban does, and he admitted it. So if you're an Alabama fan and you're on the SEC West and you look across and you go, who are we probably going to end up playing? It's probably going to be Georgia. Yeah, there's not much. If there's a gap now, it ain't much. It ain't much. Georgia is coming along very strong, and it's something. It's something that should have and could have happened years ago. Salty dog. He said when they announced Georgia will play Clemson for 5 games, I said Georgia's gotten 5 cupcake games. That's a bold statement, my friend. I don't know if I'd go that far. Woo! Those guys can play. Trevor Lawrence is gonna be a sophomore next year. That A&M game scares you. Yes and no. We got to go through them no matter what. But we'll see what happens. It took Clemson and Alabama 10 years to get to where they're at. It's taking Georgia 3. That's an outstanding point, Brian. Trevor Lawrence is not so fast, salty dog. He said he's hated him since the 60s. Whew, man. So I like the enthusiasm, but I'm not exactly willing to jump onto that boat just yet. We'll see what happens. Man, it's getting warm out here. It's got a little bit of overcast today. I wanted to go fishing today, man, but it's just too dad blame hot. That's when you know it's time for it to cool off. This thing got too hot to fish. Can't even fish in the shade right now. This is a tougher time than college football to win a championship with 3 juggernaut schools sitting at the top of the mountain. Yeah. I don't think Tua is that much better than Fromm than most people think. Well, here's what Alabama's got that Georgia doesn't have. And that is at least three. Cut the grass. Man, what are you kidding? I ain't cutting that grass. Yeah, it's too hot to cut grass. My teenage boy will cut that. I ain't cutting it. He's awesome. Got to teach him the trade skills of life. I'll tell you why Uncle Lou hates South Carolina in just a minute. Let me first talk about the Tua situation. What's going on? What's going on, Michelle? He's got 3 NFL caliber wide receivers that will probably all be first-round draft picks. He's good. But when you've got that kind of receivers, and I've been complaining about it for years, when you've got those kind of receivers, it certainly makes your job a lot easier as a quarterback. Certainly makes your job a lot easier. This is our year. Defense is better, offense is better, plus a better pass rush. So the 2 things that has to happen for Georgia to be able to win a national championship, Georgia has to be able to throw the deep ball, and we've got to be able to pass rush. That's got to happen, otherwise we won't get there. Benjamin says he doesn't have a problem with South Carolina. I'm going 15 a year this year. Okay. So if you want to know why Uncle Lou hates, if you guys want to know why Uncle Lou hates South Carolina, it's because he lives in an area that's really close to South Carolina. And there's a lot of South Carolina fans in that area. Apparently the South Carolina fans he's been dealing with for a long time are jerks, rude, just not easy to be compatible with. Nolan Hammerhead Smith. Yeah, I like the name. But so yeah, he's he can't stand them and BYU. He hates BYU more than he hates South Carolina. I hate Florida more than any other team right now, but it changes. If I had to pick a team that I just can't stand, probably be Auburn first. Florida, Georgia Tech, Oklahoma. The Oklahoma fans are just. I can understand why they have the kind of rivalry that they have with other teams, just because of the way they act. Um, I think this year they're going to get humbled quite a bit. I think they're expecting a lot out of Jalen Hurts, and I don't think they're going to get it. I just don't. I don't think he's quite there. I think their play style and schemes different than what he's accustomed to, and I think by the time he adapts, it's going to be too late. Hold on, what did Brian say? Brian says another point with Clemson killing in recruiting is because national championship. Imagine what would the coach staff do if they had a national championship they didn't hang out with their hat on a. Well, yeah, I mean, if we had a national championship on our belt, we'd absolutely be destroying the recruiting process. Yeah, me too, big dog. I just plain hate Florida. So we went to Florida on vacation one time, and I was trying to get over in traffic, and nobody would let me over, and I was getting mad. I was like, "Why won't they let me over?" They see my blinkers on, and my wife taps me on the shoulder. She goes, "It's probably because you got that giant G on the back of your window." And I was like, "Well, that's probably right." I could not, I could not get anybody to be nice to me in traffic, man. It was bad. But you can't blame them too much, man. That rivalry's pretty old. Whew. I see some of you guys have hit the thumbs up. I need some more of you guys to hit the thumbs up, and I need some of you guys to hit that share button and throw it around social media. I appreciate it. We're getting really close to the 1,600 mark. Just need about 25 more, and we're there. From after that, I'm hoping it'll really take off during the season. Kind of see how things pan out. Jake Fromm has to step up this year. He tends to throw a jump ball when it's third down and plus 10, kind of predictable. A lot of the predictable play calling was coming from Jim Chaney, Brian, just so you know. Also, the recruiting rankings hold Georgia will be the first in time in history. The team will sign 4 top 100 linemen. Yep. My stepson is a huge Florida fan. I'm sorry, James. Got to work on that, buddy. Eric Stokes says Pickens is a beast. Yes, I will, and I'll get into that. He says I'll let you over, big dog. Well, yeah. Well, I don't go to Alabama much, but I appreciate it. 5-10s. Bama, Auburn, Oklahoma, Florida, and Florida. Well, Benjamin, that's because you can't count. I want Fromm to air it out more this season. And Real Spill says War Eagle. Congratulations on Tanks Bigsby, by the way. That guy will be good for your team. So Eric Stokes. So let me give you guys a little bit. Let me guys give you a stat that you may not know. So out of the top 4 SEC defensive backs, when it comes to what was the word? What was the wording they used? Hate when they slow playing. Yeah. I don't know. It wasn't contested passes. Forced incompletions. That's what it was. So you in Gwinnett County, real? I'm over here in Henry County. That's going to be changing hopefully pretty soon, though. Auburn is probably going to run Tank into the ground like they did carry-on luggage. Yep, probably. Gus Malzahn tends to do that. Can't blame the guy for not picking Georgia. He had a choice between Georgia, LSU, South Carolina, and Auburn. He probably wouldn't have got a lot of playing time at Georgia. Georgia already stacked at the running back position, and there's other guys down the pipe that are coming. So I can understand why he went there. Even if Evans doesn't work out, let's say we flip him back to the good guys. Maybe. Gators about to take the East. What? Damien? You talking about basketball, softball, or baseball? Because it ain't going to happen in football, sir. Sorry. What time is dinner? Hopefully soon. Getting hungry. What happened to y'all's boy Cox? He couldn't get right, so we set the trash out by the curb, and Mullen come picked it up. Damien, don't do drugs. They're bad, real bad. Don't do drugs. Drugs are bad, okay? No, man, Bigsby stays at Auburn. I'm pretty sure Bigsby will stay at Auburn. Georgia is overdrafted AF. Another Florida fan, can't read and write. You mean overrated, sir? Overdrafted. We do get a lot of players drafted, you're right, but overrated, sir. For Georgia to be overrated, what's going on, Tiger Raven? For Georgia to be overrated, it would have to happen by about 5 million people that don't like Georgia. That don't even make any sense. Lord have mercy. So Damien, just so you know, I trash talk and I give it back. What's going on, Mr. Bombi? So my son live streams and streams. Come here, son.
Hello.
What's that game? What's that game that you live stream?
Apex.
Apex. He live streams Apex. If you guys watch Apex, check him out sometime. What's the receiver situation at Georgia? Excellent right now. Damian Wanzer said 1980. How many playoff wins does Florida have? Hey, Damian, how many playoff wins does Florida have? Nan. What 3 teams have playoff wins? Does anybody know what 3 teams have playoff wins? Georgia just became relevant? No, sir. We've been kicking a mud hole in y'all for years. All-time records what? Okay. You can't talk a whole bunch of smack about Georgia whenever you guys had a coach who won the SEC East 2 years in a row, and then you fired him. Oh my goodness. I mean, how can you fire a coach who won the SEC East 2 years in a row? Oh my goodness. Just became relevant. Just became relevant. Sir, Georgia's averaged 10 to 11 wins per season for years. I don't think Florida's done that. Vernon Speaks Sports Album. What's going on, buddy? Thank you for the super chat. Go, he says War Eagle. I thought he said go War Eagle. Congratulations on Tank Bixby, by the way. That guy will be a great running back for y'all. I'd rather be relevant now than I used to be. Yep, I agree. 21 5-star players to Florida. Talent gap is large. The last time they got a 5-star player at Florida, he had to get kicked off a Georgia team. You guys heard that song, I'm the Scat Man? Well, we're gonna change it for Dan Mullen. We're gonna call him the Trash Man. Georgia has the second longest bowl game streak, but they're just relevant. Yeah. Benjamin's throwing up dots. All right, knock it off, or I'll block you from the channel. Other people don't want to see that stuff. GGA, Nama, then the rest. Yep. Clemson has 8 straight 10-win seasons. Yes, sir. That's a lot. So anyway, I got off track. I forgot what I was talking about before I got trolled. Let me back it up just a second. Oh. Casey Thompson says, good morning, sir. I'm running behind, but I love the show. Looking forward to it all morning. Thank you, Casey. I really appreciate that. The receiver situation at Georgia. All right, yeah, so let's talk about the receiver situation at Georgia. Am I lagging? I'm lagging. The streak is 51 to 42, pretty even. I don't think that's even. I would say like 48 to 46, that'd be pretty even. Almost a double-digit gap, sir. Longest win streak, 7 by Florida. Current win streak is 2. So you had 7 wins in a row, and you're still almost 10 games behind. Dan Mullen was smart to shut his mouth after all the trolling he did. I would take Florida more seriously if their coach wasn't running their players to the transfer portal. All trash talking and joking aside, that was a really bad move on his part. I understand what he was trying to do, but he really missed the boat. He first of all, he'd have to if the games would have been closer between Georgia and Florida, I can understand the trash talk a little better. But he really, really missed the boat. Like just jumping out. Oh, the last time Georgia won something was blah blah blah. Look, dude, we had a playoff appearance. We had a national championship. We were in a national championship game. Florida's nowhere near that, and won't be for the foreseeable future. Dan Mullen is a Florida man. Woo. Oh, Uncle Luke cracks me up, man. Does anybody know if there is a YouTube content creator for Florida? I know South Carolina has Carolina Jackpot. I know that there's Law Tide in Alabama. There is Daniel Moore does some stuff. Vernon obviously does Auburn. Volunteer Roadshow does Tennessee. I think Big Vol Daddy used to do some stuff for Tennessee as well. Clemson has Pigskin Pete. Yep. I mean, there's a number of guys. There's a guy that actually, believe it or not, there's a guy that actually does Notre Dame. He's only got like, I don't want to say he's only got like 200 followers. He's got like 600 videos or something. BVD, that's him. I haven't seen him in a hot minute. TJ LSU Dad, I haven't seen any of his stuff. He kind of disappeared for a while there. Is he still out there? TJ LSU Dad. That guy cracks me up, man. I enjoyed his videos. Oh, he's back? Okay. Yeah, that Florida guy that Uncle Lou rips on all the time. Who is that, though? Who is that Florida guy? Damien, are you still trying to troll? Give it up, dude. You're gonna get owned in the chat section here. Lance and Jasper. That's the guy? Lance and Jasper. I'll have to look that guy up.
Did you see what Mom said then?
Yeah, I'm talking about the Facebook post? No, I didn't see it. What did she put? I don't know, tell her to resend it. I can't scroll that far back. I got stuff still scrolling. It just went by somehow. I missed it. You guys have three content creators, Jay? I mean, Damien? He's on Fine Bomb every once in a while. Barry Henderson. Yeah, I'm pretty much on every Saturday. I also make videos throughout the week, buddy. And I try to be as interactive as possible as I can with everybody in the chat section. I get a big kick out of talking with you guys. Who did y'all get from the transfer portal, Lou? Clemson scheduled a home and home series with LSU for 25 and 26. It's crazy how far that out. Who's on Fine Bomb? Not me. That guy is such a, I don't know. He's just, I don't know. I don't really like his style too much. Uncle Lou gets on there and trolls the crap out of him, though. It's funny. Man, I love this show and Dog Nation. Great info. I appreciate it, Vernon. I don't know how much information I can really put out there. I just try to give my opinion. I try to look at some information that I think is relevant and interesting that other people don't necessarily find, and I try to get it out there. We get 20 or 30 of us together and just kind of talk. Thank you, Brian. I appreciate that, sir. But you guys are what makes the show, not me. How do I feel about 2020 scheduling for SEC? I'm fine with it, man. We got to play everybody anyway, and it's, just gotta buckle up that chin strap and go play. What's the longest stream I have ever done? I think I've done about an hour 40 once. It just kind of depends on how things are going. Hey, Big Dog, did you see the 2020 schedule for Auburn? They got spanked by the gods of the SEC. That was definitely one of those cases where you got to be careful what you wish for. Love the Texas screenshot. Which one was that? Which screenshot are you talking about? Texas A&M? Brian, are you talking about Texas A&M? No, Damien, I'm not mad because you talk smack, dude. I'm not at all. I enjoy people that get in the channel and talk smack. I like to talk smack back. I just have to be careful because I don't want to talk too much smack and tick you off. Next year we have to play in Alabama. I want to play Texas again. I don't necessarily care whether or not we play Texas again. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But I don't think they're going to be in a playoff game, so it's not likely we'll play them again. I'd love to play them again and beat them, but yeah. What's going on, Volunteer Roadshow? Hey, you guys in the channel, Volunteer Roadshow's guy was just talking about a few minutes ago. He does a live show all the time. He's got Billy Radcliffe. He's a legend at Tennessee, and some other big name guys that are players that played for Tennessee. Look him up. He's great content. Helped me a ton when I first got my channel started. Really appreciate Volunteer Roadshow. You guys go check his channel out and subscribe. Catfish, I don't have any doubt in my mind that you get busy, sir. You just like the rest of us, man. You just wide open all the time, sir. I completely understand. Get that CDL, buddy. Also, we beat you fair and square in that ball game. Well, you're going to be living outdoors, woman. You know that game wasn't fair. Don't give me that crap. I saw limit cent. I hope so too, Dwayne. Damien, you didn't disappear, did you, buddy? What's going on, Jonathan? Yeah, you guys, if you're in my channel and you're not subscribed to Volunteer Roadshow, go subscribe to his stuff. His stuff is really coming along, way ahead of my channel, and he's been doing this for a long time. He's got tons of videos. What's going on, Brian Denny? He makes a lot of really good content. If you want to know what's going on with Tennessee, get on there with him. He's got some really big stuff that's coming up down the road. Not gonna spill the beans on that. You have to go over to his channel to check it out. But it's some really exciting stuff for the Tennessee Vols coming along, and for his subscribers and fan base. So you guys go check him out. He's a great guy. Awesome, brother. Hope everything is good in your way. That Bama game next year is going to be crazy. It's really going to be crazy because it's really early in the season. Hey, man, any worries for the SEC opener for Georgia? Not at all. Vandy's an okay team, but they don't have near the talent that Georgia does. James Coley, even though he's a new offensive coordinator, he's been with our system for a long time. Jake Fromm is an outstanding game manager. I think we'll be just fine. The offensive line is huge this year. We could probably just line up and hand the ball off and win that game, just with handoffs. Probably wouldn't take much. Looking forward to this year. I certainly think it's a potential 12-0 season. We're going to let the Zeus loose. I like that, Brian. I'm going to steal that. It's time to let the Zeus loose. I like it. I think your roster murders Vandy. It's always good to be on, Pine Sol. Yes, sir. It's always good to have you on the channel. Georgia has a lot of talent. And I'm kind of glad that we're opening with an SEC team. And I know that sounds crazy. But I'm glad we're opening with an SEC team. It gives us an opportunity to thanks, sir. I appreciate it, volunteer. I think it gives us an opportunity to take a game, to have the coaches to get the players to take the game seriously. You know, you're going to open up with an SEC opponent. Every game matters in college football. Every single game matters. And you should play every game to your utmost ability. If you're not doing that, you can get caught napping. So I'm hoping that they can start it off with that right mentality and just roll through the season. Hope Golden recovers, buddy. That's a big loss. Gooden, not Golden. I'm interested to see what Jim Chaney's going to do with Tennessee if he's had enough time to implement his system there. There's one high school in Howard County, Maryland, named Glenold High School that has the same exact colors of red and black and gray, and has the same exact. Where is that at? Is that in Maryland? Fun fact: Georgia versus Florida record is 21-9 in the last 30 years. Go Gators! I lived in Gwinnett County area. About these UGAs are all fired up about Nashville. It's time to go, man. I'm so excited about college football. So excited. Damien, fun fact: we've owned you the last 2 seasons in both the field and recruiting. Oh, here we go. Ooh, it's warming up out here. So for those of you who don't know, I got a fan that I keep out here next to me. Otherwise, it gets too dead blame hot. I'm running low on my drinky drink. Football didn't start 30 years ago. You know, see, that's the fun thing about stats, man, is that you can kind of bend stats any way you want to. You know, last 4 out of 5 games, we beat y'all 4 out of those 5 games. And then somebody will say, yeah, but 10 games before that, we beat y'all 9 out of 10. You know what I'm saying? It just, the stat thing never ends, man. Never ends. Waiting for college football season to start is like a kid waiting on Christmas. No, sir. No, sir. You have that incorrect. It's like waiting for them to finish signing your paperwork to let you out of that jail cell after you have been wrongfully incarcerated. That's what it's like. Got to roll, brother. Be back next Saturday. SEC just means more. Absolutely, Vernon. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, appreciate the super chat. Always like having you on, sir. Fun fact: Florida is 21-9. He said, "Say it again." Oh Lord. Yeah, 1, 2, 3 waited 13 years for a new tool. That's a dig at Uncle Lou. Well, all I can tell you, Tiger, is they got good taste, man. At least we get a real game on week 0. Yeah, you get the Miami-Florida game. I think there's going to be a ton of people on that game or watching that game. That's probably going to be the highest. Whoever has that game is going to be one of the highest watched television shows that week. The next week, we get like a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday set of games. So that'll be interesting. And like every one of those days actually has a decent game on. Saturday's going to have 60-plus games on, which is just insane if you think about it. And this year, we've got 2 bye weeks. All jokes smack, talk to the side. What do you think the score is going to be this year at the cocktail party? To set the fandom aside and actually talk about the numbers, I think Florida has stepped up, but I also think that Georgia continues to step forward. I think that Georgia, to exceed the 40 points plus a game, no matter how good you are, it's really difficult to get past that number. I can still see Georgia putting 35 to 40 points on the board, but this year I could legitimately see Florida probably putting 21 to 28 points on the board. I think they take a big step forward this year, but I don't think it's quite enough yet to overtake Georgia. 37-14. I almost want to give them a little more credit than that because Felipe Franks will be better this year. I'm really interested in seeing how he handles the pressure. Georgia has done a terrible job of sacks. If Georgia manages to step that up, Felipe Franks may struggle, and that 37-14 may be accurate, but I don't know if Georgia's going to have that fixed by that time. Gators' offensive line is horrible, should beat Franks up fairly badly. Well, you would think that, but we suck at getting in the backfield, so see what happens. Can't wait to see our O-line destroy Cox. Yeah, that'll be interesting, too. Benjamin Hawkins says he doesn't know about that. Oh, man. Ooh, here comes the mailman. That's not a job I want. Jonathan Kane says, I think that game will be closer than people think, barring turnovers from either team. There's always turnovers in that game, though, every year. One of Long Ridge High School alumni was purple, black, and silver. Those are cool colors. I hate it when I see teams that's got like red and orange and green as school colors. I'm like, what are y'all doing? Georgia has the best O-line in the country. Got to keep Fromm's jersey. Yeah, we've got a strong offensive line, but we've had a pretty strong offensive line. The thing that we've lacked is the ability to throw the ball downfield. If you look back last year at some of the stats between Georgia, Clemson, and Alabama averaged about 4 per game. Tua Hog in the injury tent. No room for Trey Sanders. Hate to see Uncle Lou. You back from vacation yet, buddy? I thought you were getting close. Last year, Georgia averaged like less than 2 20-plus yards passes per game, while Alabama and Clemson averaged 4 or over. Man, enjoy it while you can, man. That beach looks nice down there. That's one of the things we've got to solve if we want to be able to really make a dynamic change to our offense. We've got to be able to make that deep ball a threat. In games where teams were able to bottle up our run a little bit, Georgia just really wasn't able to move the ball through the air, and that's a problem. We've got to fix that, and we've also got to be able to get in the backfield, sack the quarterback, and create some real disruption back there. Now, one of the stats I wanted to jump back to earlier that I kind of got away from, I saw this the other day. Eric Stokes, which is, thanks Benjamin, I appreciate it, buddy. Eric Stokes, which is going to be a major key factor in our defense and our secondary. If you looked at passes interrupted or contested passes or whatever you want to call it, somebody threw a ball and Eric Stokes was there, 40% of the time it was an incomplete pass. 40%. The next closest guy in the SEC is only at like 27, 28, and that includes LSU, that includes Alabama, and that includes Auburn. I mean, all of those teams that supposedly have great defensive backs, he's doing an outstanding job. Oh, and it had to be 25-plus passes at that particular player to count. Hey, Dwayne, so you're going to guess 75-3 week one? Ouch. Better be drinking a cold one for me. I'm drinking a Polar Pop. That's what I'm drinking. I just got through drinking a Red Bull. I had a headache, and that helps it. Eric Stokes has become a leader on that defense and one of the guys we really needed. So he stepped up. We're getting some leadership in that secondary, and I think that guy is going to be phenomenal. He's also the guy that has to go against George Pickens when they're playing in practice, and he says that guy is absolutely incredible. So if one of the best defensive backs in the country is saying that this guy's difficult to cover, that ought to tell you something about George Pickens. Damian says the only thing I'm worried about as a Gator is that O-line. Everything else is great in my opinion. We have the best receiver corps in the nation, or latest one of them. You guys do have a good receiving corps. We'll kind of see how it goes from there. Yeah, you guys do have a good receiving corps, but hopefully you guys got to get behind your quarterback, man. You got to stand behind him whether he's winning or whether he's struggling. Because when your quarterback is struggling and fans are booing him, man, that's not going to help your team at all. It certainly doesn't help the recruiting process. Group of receivers, Alabama, are lights out too. Here's the best teams in the country for receivers. You ready? Clemson, Alabama, LSU, Florida, Georgia. Stokes is going to have a really awesome year. That guy's going to win some awards. I just hope he sticks around for a few more years. We could use players like that. Richard and Eric are good. Richard LeCount is, for those of you who don't know who he's talking about Richard LeCount. Oklahoma. What are you talking about, Jay? I missed something. Oh yeah, Oklahoma's got good receivers too. Yeah. Oh man. I mean, it's going to be an interesting season. Georgia has talent at the receiver position, but not much experience. Yep. After Stokes leaves, Ringo replaces him. One can hope. I'm sorry, but Oklahoma has a better receiving corps than us. Oh yeah, absolutely they do. Absolutely they do. I'm not saying that Georgia's better than theirs. I was just no particular order, just rattling them off. Hope we get out of camp healthy. Oh man, just Alabama just lost Trey Sanders to a broken ankle. We certainly don't need anything like that. Last year we lost Zeus. Hopefully that doesn't. Nothing like that happens again. I'm guessing it's Nick. Nick said it felt good to flip Pickens from Auburn. Yes. Anytime you can pick up a 5-star player. It's especially if you can flip one that was pretty much hard committed somewhere else. It says a lot about your team, says a lot about your coaching and your recruiting. It's definitely a good feeling. Now the fact that it was from Auburn makes it a little bit sweeter, no doubt about that. But it's nice. So that Kirby is Kang. I'm not sure if that was intentional or not, but it sounds kind of cool. Kirby's Kang. Kang Kirby. Ooh, man. Oh, so did you guys see in the news where I think it was a Georgia Southern player, might have been a Georgia State player. When will Georgia start watching film for the Vandy game? They probably already are, sir. I was shocked we flipped Pickens. Pickens really good, not as good as AJ Green. We'll see. Can't watch Hunter Renfro and Clyde Farrell today for their preseason games against LA Rams. Yep, curb stomped. Kirby stomped. I like it. So you're looking at the GSU player. It was GSU. That was one of them, Georgia Southern. This kid gets pulled over in South Carolina. Another reason for Uncle Lou to like South Carolina. And they try to they asked him, what is that white stuff on your hood? Keep in mind, he's been driving down the road, right? And he's like, it's bird poop. And the cop's like, it is not bird poop. Except they didn't use the word poop the first time. And he's like, I swear to God that's bird poop. And the cop's like, I swear to God it's not, because we just tested it and it came back positive for cocaine. And the guy's like, that is not cocaine. Listen, what kind of test are y'all doing in South Carolina that's making bird poop? What y'all been feeding these birds, man? I mean, I knew that PEDs were swinging around up there at Clemson, but I didn't know the birds were flying around with cocaine. Oh man. Oh man. I'm not one of those people to say this, but I'm gonna say this. That to me sounded awfully suspicious. Awfully suspicious. Like somebody just said that it came back positive for cocaine. Y'all cannot put stuff like that on the news. Y'all gonna have these crackheads and everybody, there's crackheads everywhere now. Don't just think there's crackheads in South Carolina. They got these crackheads down here licking bird poop off everything. Oh man. Oh man. And all of a sudden it came up. Oh, it actually didn't. That actually was bird poop. We're not gonna press charges. Y'all ought to get sued for that. Y'all ought to get sued for that. Hey, what's going on, Keith? Welcome to the channel, man. We've been talking about all kind of good stuff today. We're talking about cocaine bird poop. We're talking about, I don't know if you saw this, Keith, but Trey Sanders unfortunately broke his ankle in practice for Alabama. So didn't want to see that happen, but unfortunately it did. So who's suspended without pay? Oh, the cops. Yeah. They should never have put that guy in handcuffs. They never should have done that. I mean, first of all, who in their right mind can't look at a windshield and go, pretty sure that's bird poop? Who in their right mind goes, this car, now listen, I've never done drugs, never will do drugs, but I've seen enough stuff on TV to know what cocaine looks like. What kind of cocaine have y'all cops seen in whatever town that was in that will stick on a windshield, on the hood of a car driving down the road? I mean, every time I've seen cocaine, it looked like it was in a powder form. And the car that I saw in the video that guy was driving wasn't no golf cart. It looked like it was a regular vehicle. So I just don't get it, man. Oh man. Cocaine bird poop. That's the new one. Sounds like something Dan Mullen invented. Oh my goodness. So anyway, I don't know what they're gonna do with that. They let him go. They dropped the charges. They should have dropped the charges. Never should have been a charge to start with. Never should have been a charge to start with. There should have been somebody who walked up and said, Why are you even testing that? Why are you even testing that? Never mind, why do you think it's cocaine? Why are you putting bird poop in a bag? That's what I want to know. I would love to be this guy's defense attorney and go, so, Officer Smith, at what point did you think that this pile of bird poop was cocaine. Have you ever seen cocaine before? Because I've seen cocaine, and it didn't look like that. So you thought that driving down the road at 65 mile an hour, this white substance on the hood of this car must be cocaine when you pulled him over. This has to be cocaine. So let's test it. Sounds like some bird poop to me. Have a good day, Michelle. Thanks for joining the channel. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share if you guys would. I appreciate it. So it's just incredible to me that even occurred that way. Have you ever heard of a Florida Gator named Scooter Magruder on YouTube? No, I have not. Guess he didn't give it the old taste test. Maybe he did. I don't know. Call me after I get done with the live stream. If I don't answer, I'm probably sleeping. I'll get up tonight and hit the road. Okay. We'll do, Catfish. Trey Sanders running back from IMG. I think so. Made it back. Clemson Trolls knock out my power. He lost power. Welcome back. So, there's a ton of football coming in 3 weeks. I'm super excited about it. Can't wait to see it. There's just so much going on right now that I don't even know how to take it all in. Just a young black man being harassed. I don't know if that was the case, and I don't get into the politics of it. But just from a general bystander point of view, that looked crazy to me. The fact you would even check bird poop to see if it's cocaine, regardless of its color or anything, was just insane. What's going to hurt? That's going to hurt Trey Sanders is that he's going to be a beast. Yeah, I never want to see a player injured. Yeah, he's going to be good once he gets healed up. Tiger Raven 18, dude, it's hilarious. Love the fact that Auburn moved earlier in the season for the 2020. Yeah, they wanted to change their schedule, so they went out there and they made a case to the SEC commission or committee or whatever, and they said okay. And man, they got what they wanted, but their last stretch of games is brutal. It's gonna be tough. Tennessee game is in November next year. I'm okay with that. I'm really interested to see what Josh Dobbs is going to do this year. Hopefully that guy can play a little better. So this right here, I got this for Christmas one year. This is what they call the old pigskin. It's not, obviously it's not like a regular traditional football. A traditional football is more, kind of that shape. This thing's pretty round. It's pretty interesting. This is what they used to play football with. One of my favorite little football toys. Man, have I been on here for an hour and a half? Holy crap. I don't get why some people are hyping up Mizzou. I don't either. They've got some decent receivers, but Kelly Bryant, he's got an injured hamstring. I mean, Kelly Bryant's a great quarterback. Guy's phenomenal. We'll see what he does. But I don't think, Kelly Bryant went to a team that would readily take him, readily make him playable. This gives him the best opportunity to be able to get drafted at the end of this year, which is clearly what he's after and what he should be after. He doesn't care that Missouri's not going to. He doesn't care that Missouri's got a bowl ban. He just wanted to go play somewhere where he could show off his talent, and I think this is a good place for him to go. That having been said, I don't think the expectations at Missouri is to go 12-0. Their expectations is just to play good football right now. At least that's my opinion, and I think that they're probably willing to let Kelly Bryant kind of show off to make their school look better. Both of Auburn QBs suck. Maybe. Bo Nix is pretty good, man. I want to check that guy out. You think they may be the toughest East opponent we play this year? I think it may be between them and A&M. we'll see. 19 days until Clemson runs down the hill versus Georgia Tech. Runs down the hill and over Georgia Tech. Nick says, do you think college football, do you have any college football traditions that I do? Oh, good call, Keith. Yeah, you're right. Easter Point. My mistake. Texas A&M's in the West. Typically on Saturday mornings. Oh, some of the college football traditions that I have depend on who we're playing. Whenever we play South Carolina, anytime I play South Carolina, I always go to Zaxby's and get chicken. And I always go to Zaxby's and get chicken every time. I typically drink a higher proof beverage while I'm watching the game. A Sailor and a very familiar cola beverage. What I tend to drink. Saturday mornings, I get up, I make breakfast, or I kind of go from there. I run out the back door and yell touchdown Georgia every time we score a touchdown. And in big games, believe it or not, I run outside and do a cartwheel. As big as I am. So maybe one of these days you guys will get to see that. Zaxby's has good chicken, but I don't like the fries. I like their fries. I like their mushrooms, I like fries. I like their salads are good. I pretty much like everything in Zaxby's except their tea. I don't like their tea. Tea's too freaking sweet. Yeah, I like Zax sauce. If you don't like Zax sauce, go to church. Something's wrong with you. Yeah, I like their fries. Nice neighborhood. Well, it's better than Detroit. Cookout. Cookout's okay. I'm a Chinese food junkie, though. I love Chinese food. Oof. Zax sauce is good on toast. Zax sauce is good on everything except bird poop. Don't put it on that. So we've got in a couple of weeks, we've got some games coming up. First game I'm going to be watching is going to be the Miami-Florida game. Kind of see how things go from there. I'm really interested to see how Felipe Franks is going to play. I've been to Georgia Tech's camp. I've been to Georgia Tech's campus when I was 4 years old, 2003. And when Clemson crushed Georgia Tech 38-13 at Bobby Dodd Stadium. I drive past that stadium all the time. And I'm always stunned at its proximity to the interstate. Last year when the Dogs played South Carolina, I bought a box of chicken and ate a piece every time Georgia scored. Ooh. You must have bought a big box of chicken. Whew. All right, guys, we rolled on about an hour and a half here. My wife had cooked breakfast for me about an hour ago. Yeah, I bet he was. Bet he was real full after that. So, Daniel Moore says, Big Dog, what did I miss? What's the wife cooking today? She's already cooked breakfast. She cooked sausage, eggs, pumpkin spice cinnamon rolls, and some other stuff. But yeah, we talked about Trey Sanders' broken foot, broken ankle, whatever it is, scheduling changes, the first teams that are coming along, who we're going to play, 60 or 60 plus games being played, the first real Saturday in college football. We talked about Tank Bixby going to Auburn. We talked about Florida getting Brenton Cox. We talked about the recruiting between Georgia and Alabama, the targets that are left. We've talked about bird poop and testing positive for cocaine. Talked about Volunteer Roadshow. We talked about Uncle Lou. I didn't see Carolina Jackpot today, but I saw him yesterday. Vernon Moore over at War Eagle was on here. All kind of stuff. Good show, Brett. Watching from New Smyrna Beach, Florida. Appreciate it, sir. Enjoy the weather down there. I know it's hot right now, but it'll be cooling off soon. Go jump in the water for me one time down there. Man, we own Bobby Dodd Stadium, absolutely. Florida's educational level was displayed. William Bryce Stadium is Clemson Memorial Stadium South. I absolutely agree. But y'all got to do a better job of that pass defense, man. They made y'all look bad. 500 or 600 yards passing, it's ridiculous. Fix that. Oh, and hey, send Kelly Bryant a ring. Never like to see these guys hurt. That sucks. I'm gonna start a GoFundMe account for for a championship ring for Kelly Bryant. Y'all did that man dirty. Man, that man took care of y'all the year before, played a third of the season that year, and then y'all like, man, you ain't getting no ring. I said, good night. What are you doing? Dabo called out saving the SEC. I don't care if he quit on him or not, man. You can't say that he didn't make a significant contribution to that team being undefeated. He just did. Yeah, I mean, you say he quit on him, you can say that. But the way I look at it is that whether he quit, whether the coach stopped playing him, whether he was in the medical tent, doesn't matter. He contributed to that team a lot more than a lot of those true freshman red-shirted guys that rode the whole bench all year and got a ring. And to me, that's the part of it that matters. He was a major contributor. He should get a ring. Yeah, maybe they didn't quit. But at the same time, can you really be mad at that guy for quitting whenever he knew he already had a discussion with the coach, and the coach told him, you ain't going to play no more. So he's just supposed to sit on the bench the rest of the season, just redshirt him the rest of the season and sit on the bench and not try to figure out a way for him to go play somewhere else? I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like that guy had to make a decision. That is what Jalen did. I agree. But that wasn't what Kelly Bryant felt was best for his career. And at the end of the day, this is a college. It's a college thing. Jalen did stay the whole year. You're absolutely right, he did. But what Jalen had an opportunity to come in and play in the SEC championship, right? So he got to play. They told him up front, "You're not going to play." They said They said the coach had an emotional meeting with him. I'm not mad at the guy. I'm not mad at the guy for transferring to another school because they told him he wasn't going to play because he's trying to make his career happen. I can absolutely understand that, and I think it's, in my opinion, it's a poor choice on Dabo's side. But there should be consequences of him leaving. The consequence of him leaving is that he didn't get to play on a national championship team in the national championship. The consequence is he has to go play at a school that can't even participate in a bowl ban. I mean, Trevor Lawrence came in and took that guy's job away from him because Trevor Lawrence is a better player. That happens all the time in college football. You're absolutely right. But to me, at the end of the day, I feel like his contribution was significant enough that the school had an opportunity to make a rose out of this thing, and they choose to make it into a talking point that's going to divide a lot of their fans. They could have just said, you know what, man, this guy came in, contributed to the team. You know, he kept our undefeated season alive. How many undefeated seasons does Clemson have? I want to say they only have one, if not two. Brian Denny, he went to Missouri. So if you have a player who was the quarterback in an undefeated season, and I don't know hardly any teams that have a completely undefeated season out there. I mean, it's extremely rare. I think that is a significant contribution. The college should have just said, you know what? Hey, we're going to give you a ring, man. We really appreciate it. That would have looked really good on them in their recruiting cycle, and now it's like, so what happens if you get dropped from the team on something that ain't your fault? And it does happen. I just feel like they should have gave a guy a ring. I just think that made Dabo look really petty. There should be pushback for how quick these guys are to enter the portal, and I'm okay with this being one of them. I think there should be a more of a process than what you see now with just, I'm going to jump in the transfer portal. I think that's a ridiculous way to go about handling players that don't want to be on the team. I think it makes it way too easy, and it doesn't encourage these players being more loyal to the team and to the fan base. But I don't think a championship ring. Yeah, it is getting close to free agency in college football. But I don't think saying, hey, you're just not going to get a national championship ring, because that would only affect one team out of all the teams that play in college football every year. And so that's a strong what if. And obviously, it wouldn't make guys not transfer. I think we shouldn't give the news negative fodder they can stir up stuff to bash you with, and this would be no discussion, then it's $500. I agree. I think that there needs to be a system in place where I think you have to. I think before you can enter the transfer portal, you should have to apply to a committee, an NCAA committee, on why you want to transfer, and then it has to be approved. I think there needs to be more of a process there. I think the sitting out a year needs to be a hard line. We're seeing more and more of these waivers that are being applied, and I think waivers are being applied, in my opinion, unfairly. Yep. And somebody just put Luke Ford. My case in point. This guy had a sick family member. I believe it was his grandfather. But because it was not a immediate family member, like a mother, brother, sister, whatever, he gets hosed. I think that was complete garbage. I think that for whatever reason, Justin Fields transferred, which they still haven't told us. He got a waiver. And the only reason Justin Fields transferred was because he wasn't getting his job back. And they absolutely said vehemently and adamantly that it was not about the whole racism thing that happened, which I don't agree with what that guy said to Justin Fields or in his vicinity, or should have said that at all. Should never be said. As a coach, there's not much worse than a player quitting. I agree. But in my opinion, a player quitting has a lot to do with both of them. It's not just one or the other all the time. I think Kelly quit, but I think that situation was not handled by Dabo the way it could have been handled. The first one, I think he didn't show up for the first one after they told him about it, not because of Kelly. I think he was told to take that one off. I read that somewhere. I don't know exactly where I read that, but I remember reading that, and he was supposed to show up to the next one, and he just didn't show up to that one. In my opinion, he's still a young man. He's still a kid. His emotions got the better of him. This was a guy who recently was their go-to guy, and they were pouring accolades all over him. They loved him, and then all of a sudden you're in yesterday's news. That's a lot for a young man to take, especially having been the leader of that team and went to a national championship. Golly, man, I can't imagine having to deal with that. So I can understand him being in his emotions about it. Do I agree with it? Not necessarily, but I can understand it to a point. I think the coaching staff kind of did him wrong, and I don't think it's going to encourage their recruiting process at all. I think that a lot of teams are going to use this to recruit against them. And the way that I would do it if I was them is I would say, hey, look, the moment that Clemson decides that you're not a starter, you're done. And if you tell them that you really want to play and this is a career for you, you don't want to just ride the bench, they're just going to tell you to get lost. So how much love did they really have for you up front? I'm just playing devil's advocate. I think that what they could have done is they could have said, hey, here's a ring, appreciate your contribution. And then they could have turned around in the recruiting process and said, hey, you know what, we even gave Kelly Bryant a ring. We love our players. We're loyal to them even after they leave here. And that's one of the things that a lot of colleges used to recruit with is that, hey, come to Georgia. Hey, come to Clemson. Hey, come to Alabama. You'll make contacts all over the world. So, yes, I have also heard that Fields is struggling at OSU. I have heard that as well. I'm basically turning into Iago from Aladdin. I'm going to have a heart attack and die of not surprise. Noah Sewell is a big dude, and he can move. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think Georgia's got 6 5-stars we're looking to recruit still. We probably will get 2 or 3 of them. Alabama's got 5. They'll probably get 1 or 2. Clemson's got a few left as well. So it's really interesting to see. Hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to start having conversations about football games that just happened. 6'1", 260, and can run like that good Lord. Fromm or Easton? Fromm, baby. Fromm. Could you imagine if there was an OSU versus UGA playoff game and that Fields is not the starter? Oh my goodness. So what happens if Georgia ends up playing in a playoff game against Washington and it's Eason? That would be interesting as well. And it's certainly possible that it could end up being that 3 out of the 4 quarterbacks in the playoffs would have been former Georgia players, and the other one be from Georgia. Yeah, Eason's good. Eason's a good quarterback. I think he needed more time to develop than Jake Fromm did. He's got a big arm. He's a tall guy. He's got NFL size. He's got an NFL arm. He can throw the ball from one end of the field to the other. I think that offense and play style out there on the West Coast will be good for him. I think it'll showcase his talents. And it would not surprise me at all if you see Eason in pro very, very soon. Fromm can diagnose the defense a lot better than Eason can. That's probably true. I think the SEC speed overwhelmed Eason. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, Keith beat me to it. That first year that Eason played as a freshman, our offensive line just looked like Swiss cheese, man. They couldn't hold anybody off of him. It was very difficult for him to stand in that pocket and get enough time to stand back there and throw. Jake Fromm, on the other hand, he likes to stand back there and eat lunch. I mean, he just hangs out back there like he's waiting on the bus. Come on, man. Yep. Yeah, that is correct, Keith. Easton had a full year under his belt before Fromm, so you really can't say that. Yeah. I mean, it's just been really it was hit or miss with Easton. I don't think he had enough around him to really protect him. He's not a mobile quarterback. He's a pocket passer, which so is Jake Fromm. But I think that the team had more time to develop that offensive line than Jake Fromm did, than Jacob Easton had. So that's why. Yeah, O-line had problems, big problems. But it looks like Kirby got it fixed. So, all right, guys, we're rattling on pretty long here. I gotta go eat. I'm hungry. So, I really appreciate you guys tuning in. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share on social media, pass it around. Really appreciate it. Getting really close to that 1,600 mark, and all I need is a little bit of help from you guys. So, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. You guys have a great day. God bless. Go Dogs.